afternoon or night. It can be early Saturday morning. Depends on where you are in the world. How you doing? Yeah, just doing good, doing good, doing good.
Show Jamie Lee Curtis some respect. So Disney Studios posted this video of Jamie Lee Curtis promoting Free Care Friday, and the internet is shook for obvious reasons. I'm not gonna lie, the imagery is interesting marketing from Disney. But I bet
I accidentally hit something by accident. That's okay though. See what I got. Okay, we're good now. Okay, monetization is on. So anyway, we're gonna come to you live. Let me get this thing on real quick. Let's get this stream kicking it up. Let me get this thing right. I don't want to say this. So, what topic do I want today? What's happening? How you doing? What's happening? How you doing? How you doing? This is a real general question, so let me get this thing. Hello, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you do? How you do? I don't know what that mean in English, and I don't know who you is. Can you dance? Sounds like a troll to me. Remove that. Are you trolling? Cause you're not rolling. All right, thank everybody that's coming on so far. I'm just sending out messages letting you know that I am here and well. I don't know what that means in English. I don't know what that means in English. I don't know what that means in English. You gotta speak English with me. You got to speak stuff in English. I don't know what that number means. So anyway, I don't know what that be meaning. Do you think the younger generation is disrespecting the elders? I do. I don't want that on this channel. So the younger generation is disrespecting the elders? I do. I do. I don't want that on this channel. So the younger generation is disrespecting the elders? I do. I do. I think that when we talk about music, sports, entertainment, you get this discord where people don't understand what it was like. And then if you're born and you don't have anyone intelligent to tell you what was really going on, then you really are in this. And then if you're born and you don't have anyone intelligent to tell you what was really going on, then you really in this I don't know shrug. Then you really in this I don't know shrug. So you have a situation that occurs where people don't tell the truth about the segregation and the you know, and how Axe had to. And when you grow with a bunch of sampling and looping and remakes, then you really don't know what it takes. Because there's a whole era that has grown up with sampling and looping is normalized. Thank you. Because there's a whole era that has grown up with sampling and looping is normalized. And then I hear how you doing, Charlene? And then I see it in football, and then I see it in sports, and then I see it in music and movies where a new generation comes along and they're disrespecting the one that came before them. And they act like what they see is the way it always was, when that was not the furthest thing that could be furthest from the truth. So I take exception to that. So thank you for coming on, Charlene. There's really nobody here. There's a bunch of trolls that I've encountered. Not a lot going on. So I welcome somebody with some insight that's got something to say. Hopefully, so we'll get some other people, real people, coming here and have conversation. Yeah, not only that did that, but they're also trying to act like what their competition wasn't as talented. Because when they talk sports, for instance, they act like what people went through didn't have the same kind of sway of talent. How you doing, Charlene? You know, go ahead, feel free. In music, they acting like sampling. Well, they grew up with sampling and looping, so they know no better. If you just grow up watching push buttons, you always think that everybody was like that. And they've done a dead service with R&B music, hip hop, all that's done. So that's the problems that I have with it, amongst others. Feel free to ask your questions. I welcome them. So anyway, but feel free to ask the questions. So I'm listening. This is gonna be you and me for a minute. So as long as you conversation, I'll be here. I did a bunch of videos today, so just waiting for them to finish up. Probably America's Most Wanted, because let me tell you something. If you offer people the bag, they find a way to find out where someone's hiding, unless, of course, they got loyalty in it. I'd probably say that. I don't think they solve as much as they want to solve, though. They selectively solve, and they want everybody to think that OJ and DNA was all started in '95. They've been sitting on stuff that they want to sit on. Probably Naked Gun for me. I like Jim Carrey's physical humor, but I think Naked Gun was more funnier. But I ain't really thought about neither one of them like that, though, if you must know. Chicago. That's not really up for discussion if you know about the history of the two. Because Michael McDonald, when he came to Do Brother, that's when they had hits, but Chicago got them beat. Peter Cetera was there forever and a day, and Chicago got them beat. I mean, they had hits in the '70s and the '80s. They were huge. The Doobie Brothers hit in the '70s, and that was their heyday before Michael McDonald went solo. So, and Chicago was a better band too. And I do like the Doobies more. I'm gonna tell you like this: I probably listened to the Doobie Brothers more when Michael McDonald was there, but Chicago got them beat. I'll be right back. All right. Now I'm back to getting comfortable. Probably life after. Probably. I would think that would be the one. I don't think people care about other planets unless, of course, they understand about the planet, about the galaxy, and they believe in others are here on the planet. But they always want to know what the afterlife is like. They always be gotten questions. You know, they want to know what would the journey. Because if you think about it, that journey could be another planet, could be another space, another place. Could very well be. That's a great question you ask, because actually they tie into one another. I think all affects us. I think that, you know, but I do think about other planets, though. I do think there are other forces here. There are other forces that aren't explained. So those are different forces. There's no rhyme or reason. Technology that brings us together, that's obviously another force from another planet. This is gonna be a trip. I gotta say, when I ate that mess, which was my past life. In the past life, I was more of a Burger King person as far as their food goes, but McDonald's had the better commercials. But yeah, so which just usually goes that if a place has better commercials, that doesn't mean the food is usually good. Just saying. Now that's the honest truth as far as I'm concerned. I might use that for a future question though. Thank you. Cause it's funny. I, you know, I like the only thing, I like Burger King. I always like Burger King, but when I used to eat that mess. But McDonald's had the cooler commercial. The fries were off the chain. That's the truth. Them things was addictive. The fresh and hot and salt. Yes, Lord. Back in the day. And I used to get down with a breakfast. That was one of my favorite things there. I don't know what that some of that stuff was, but it was. But then when they messed up, they had that adult Big Mac, which was garbage. That was horrible. And then they had I forgot what else they had. They had something else that was trash. So I left them alone. But that was back in the day though. And I see it in football, and then I see it in so he won't do that though. He won't do that. That's why he's got all these distractions. Well, he broke the law already, and he stole the election. So what do you expect? I mean, I mean, his own wife won't even be in public with him unless it's for a public event. So I mean, we already know. No, he's bought and paid for. I don't trust anything Lord Jamar says. I don't trust nothing Jamar says no more. Because after he went back on Vlad, he lost all credibility. Jay Z is a product of the times, but because Forbes magazine says he's the goat, you know, I mean, what has he done to solidify himself as the goat? He doesn't even put music out no more. And on top of that, he benefited when Biggie and Pac and them were gone. He was never a dominant rapper. When was he running things? No, you can't expect much, but he can be dangerous because he gets the bully. And when you got money on him, you got money on his books, he does what he wants. Jay Z is one of those kind of people that he's not better than LL Cool J. And I want the one who would be considered GOAT if we're gonna go by the popular standards. Jay Z did not have the kind of run as LL. He didn't have the impact that Tupac had. He didn't have what Rakim had or Aquarius One had. He never had the kind of run that Ice Cube had. He never had the notoriety that Snoop had. See how I did that? And he wasn't polarizing like Eminem. If you're gonna use Eminem as a person who I wouldn't put in there, but I'm gonna use that. He ain't lyrical more than Nas. There you go. See? How you see how I did that? You see how I did that? I named about 7 off the top he ain't seeing. 7. And he can't touch Scarface. That's 8. Some people gonna say Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne putting out stuff for like psh, Lil Wayne done had stuff out so long you forgot. So that's 9 right there. See? See how I did that? You know. So You should let people decide who know what they're talking about, not some ignorant, stiff necks, jive turkeys who sit up in some desk who their idea of hip hop is like some compartmentalization and watered down. And that's what Jay Z's benefited from. So, and I named 9 without even trying hard. But Jay Z is a lot like his buddy LeBron James. He's aligned himself with the right situation more than his actual skill set. If Andre 3000 cared more about it, he runs circles around him. Jamar's bought and paid for, so I don't trust nothing he gotta say. Jay Z ain't even close to being no goat. But that's what Forbes magazine. That's what, like I said before, they using this agenda. Jordans, come on now. That's not. Come on now. Come on. You gotta do better than that. You could put like 5 companies up. They're not out selling Jordan. Mm-mm. I don't think you realize how big Jordan was. Jordan shoes is like Michael Jackson and loafers and the glove. So excuse me. You know, Jordan's was just huge. What's happening? Now you a funny dude. You a comedian. You's a funny dude. Well, if that's the case, then shucks. You're the all around LeBron James all over the world because you got the dimes, you got the assists. Not one, not two, not three, not four. No, Jamar's bought and paid for because he got called out by Godfrey the comedian. He went back on Vlad TV. He never was gonna go back on Vlad. He talked about how much Vlad had disrespected him. And then what did he do? What did he do? He goes back up to Vlad. That had nothing to do with the flat earth. He got caught on his BS. And see, this is the thing about Jamar. Yeah, I respected him when he was on cold, but then when he sat there and did what he did, yeah, he bought and paid for. He got his actor sad card. He talks all that smack. He forgot. I remember when he was on The Sopranos. He forgot. I remember he be doing. They all act, and ain't nobody bought his whack music in like 30 years. Now, when he was dissing Eminem, I was cool with it. He brought a point, but to sit there, he says whatever they want him to say, and he disrespected Kamala Harris too. By the way, it's all on video. He said I can't have a woman be president and all that. I'm like, whatever, man. I ain't trying to hear this dude. He's fugazi. Anyway, players all over the world coming in with the B-Low. What's up? Give me a topic to talk about. Let's chop it up with some more fun. Well, I sucked as a skateboarder. So I have, and I love bike riding. Bike riding and skating was my alley. Roller skating was the place to be. Roller skating was the man. Roller skating and bike riding is like, oh, if I could skateboard, I'd have been lethal. But the more fun, roller skating. Bills fan knows what I'm talking about if he's still on here. You know what I'm talking about. The roller skating was fun. Funky music, food fun. Bike riding was fun if you was doing it in a pack. And if you were like jumping over something like you were Evil Knievel, that was gangster. That was fun. Bike riding when I got me a good 10 speed, especially when we was doing our jumps and we were on trails. That was fun. That was fun. I think kids had more fun back in the day with doing stuff like that. Especially you could get a nice bike. You was you was unstoppable. Anyway, but anyway, I'm glad more people are taking this poll real quick. Yep, yep. The disrespect is real. So I mean, it's across sports, music, movies. People be acting like, oh, them plumbers, those wire electricians, those, just the disrespect is just out of this world. So keep on coming with some questions. I'm listening. I need to hear people talk. Come on now. Don't stop. No, I don't do ice skate now. I'm a soul brother, and I don't do no ice skating. I didn't mind watching the ice capades. I didn't mind watching people twirl and whirl, but I was with the roller. Mine is roller, not no icing. But I do got respect. I got respect. It's tough to do. I couldn't do it. I suck, and it costs too much money. Um. Well, see, the reason how to answer that question, it depends on what you got to do. If you got to unclog something and you got to get into the grain of it, then plumbing is harder and dirtier. Electrician depends on what they got to do. So I had to probably say a plumber because you got to get your hands dirty. You got to get in the grind. This electrician sometimes they work hard, but theirs is more precise. Plumbers got to go under the boards and they got a lot of. Sometimes they got to unclog, and then they got a lot to do as far as getting everything aligned. So I gotta say, but they both tough work. But electrician is more. Sometimes you got stuff that's like directly. Someone gives you a blueprint. They say do this, but if it's a project where you got to do it at the same time, they about to draw. But I gotta say a plumber because of the dirty factor. It's a dirtier job. Okay, let's get some questions going because I am waiting. I don't know where everybody went. We did have a pimp on here, and I don't know where the pimp went. Okay, see what we got. Now, before anybody asks, I might be on tomorrow. Definitely Sunday. So if I want to kick it, okay. Cable guy. And you keep coming to Jim Carrey, and I got to give it to him on that one. All right, let's get some chats going. Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's get some comments going. The Tuesday is getting kind of lagging today. If it stays like this, I'll just do an hour today, which is about another 20 plus minutes, but we shall see. Okay. Higher learning. Um, Higher learning versus dangerous minds. That's what you meant. Dangerous minds. And because I watched them recently, as a matter of fact, it's funny you mentioned that. Higher learning versus dangerous minds. Because she was trying to teach them about Bob Dylan. Nope. That was the song with Coolio and LV. It was Dangerous Minds. You can Google it real quick. And Dangerous Minds was just like all they do with these movies is redo um Sidney Poitier's oh god, what's that movie he did? To Serve with Love. To Serve with Love. Sidney Poitier had these movies back in the 60s when he went to England and he was teaching these white students, and these students are predominantly white, and that's what it was. And so they've used the racial dynamic. That's what they do, and then they manipulate it and they find ways to regurgitate it 99 different ways, and that's what they've done. Um, of the two movies, Higher Learning was supposed to be in college, but it was segregated. It was younger. I probably would say Dangerous Minds if I had to pick, because Higher Learning had some bad. It had some good acting and some bad acting. I still be cringing when I think about um, Busta Rhymes making them faces. But Michael Rappaport played that role to a T in Higher Learning. He really is like that. Ice Cube always plays Ice Cube. Nobody else was like he had this lost look on his face. Tyra Banks couldn't act to save herself out of a Cracker Jack box with a half open prize and a new prize awaiting. Just not good. Lawrence Fishburne was playing a dignitary. It was mixed result. Could have been, both those movies were what I call B minus specials. They were either overdone or underdone, and they lacked that thing which would have made them both must sees. Could have been better than what they were. But Michelle Pfeiffer was always playing that, again. So did set it off there because you could have gotten knocked out all combined. Dead Presence was just basically come back from Vietnam, and then you had a situation where Lawrence Tate's character went through more, but um, set it off obviously because they knocked them off with quickness. The Presidents was more self inflicted, and obviously I understand it. Transitions on between. Anyway, let's get some conversation going. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Anybody's out there, feel free want to talk. Let's talk. I got 23 more minutes. Okay. They all have motivations. Jamar, frustrated rapper, got older, and he didn't really have nothing else to really push. He wasn't respected as a 5%er, the Jungle Brother, but that's a long time ago. And in the hip hop world, that may as well be talking about Gil Scott Heron or be talking about Run DMC, if you will. So, you know, Choke No Joke is like some cat that was a hustler in the industry, and he kind of heard a little bit, did a little bit. It's hard to tell what his all truth and what's not with him, so that can go all the way. Jaguar Wright was a frustrated artist, but the interesting thing about it, she had some juice and she grew up around it. There's truth to what she says, but she's like a jar that you turn on its head. Sometimes something will come out, sometimes it ain't. It's like ketchup. You gotta push it. When it comes out right, but sometimes it might come out kind of like splatter. She got some interesting points, but then she also turns around and gets herself caught up in a jam. So it's a matter of which way she's going. She brought some interesting tidbits though. Gene Deal is like Reggie Wright Jr. to me. These bodyguards, these former body, you got to watch Bomb first. Reggie Wright Jr. talks to him and Gene Deal. They always got recollections. Reggie Wright worked with Suge Knight, Gene Deal with Diddy, and they got stories for days. They're like two old hens who can sit there and have a drink. They all have the industry in common. They all got Diddy in common. They all got, you know, basically what I would say what they got in common is they field hands. That's what I would say. And what I don't like is when people sit on stuff. It's cool, but then y'all sitting on stuff for like 20 something, not 30 years, and then y'all just, you know, y'all want people to pay you, you know. So, so they have a few things in common. They all know about Clive Davis too. So, but I'm not playing. I'm not gonna play into no games. You just tell me what you think. I've already said that they got industry situations in common. Mm. Okay, please keep on hitting like, subscribe. Because they have to wait till the coast is clear to talk. You do understand that there's a lot of money involved with these artists. You do understand that if you just go wall willy nilly, you get white ball, you might get whacked, you might get pinched, you might either get a case or they may put your body in the boat somewhere and throw your butt away. Oh, they seen a lot more than they can talk about. But Jamar, not so much, because Lord Jamar is just an artist that he don't never tell the truth. The others I will give you, just like Orlando Brown, Orlando Brown. When Orlando talks, I listen, you know, because he talks in codes, you know. But it'd be one thing if, yeah, well, they remember things, but they couldn't talk about it. You talk about it, you get wiped out. Look at what happened to Wendy Williams. And they'll never talk about Wendy Williams because Wendy Williams was talking about all that 30 plus years ago. People treated Wendy like she was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, downplayed her, and she told the whole nine. She told the whole nine. Well, they make it sound like you're a liar because they know it's the truth. But listen, when they put money on you and you look pretty, you ever seen somebody look pretty and you say you ain't so pretty, then everyone calls you a hater. See, if I spray a pig and I put some flowers and and fix it up, it's a pretty thing, but it's still a pig. But you see, you can't say that you seen a pig because then someone will say you what's wrong with you. So yeah, they have a way of faking the funk. Mm-hmm. Yeah, go I did. Mm-hmm. 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 So that's the problem that you run into, and they don't want you to tell the truth, you know, until they can't make no money off of somebody no more. Then that's when they let you stockpile. And that's the oldest trick in the book. So that's all I got to say about that. But when they got no use for you no more, then they let everybody come out the woodworks. Cause I seen Chopper got stories. The Kennedys, because at least with Bruce Lee, it was unfortunate, but it didn't come with connotation. But the Kennedys, it's like they broke laws, and then that thing just took a real demonic turn. Of the two, of the two, I mean, obviously him and his son, but the Kennedys, I mean, it was like what y'all sell your soul for? You sold your soul, and that's the repercussions. And now you stuck with RFK Jr., who can't even talk. He sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger, all choked and gagged, and he just talk all bad. So that's who I think. I think the Kennedys, without a doubt. It's a lot of evil and demonic stuff that go on. I can't speak on it because it depends on the individual and it depends on what we're talking about. When you ask a question like that, you got to give me an example. Some people forgive quickly. Some people, the pain lingers. It depends on who what we're talking about. And sometimes people never ever reconcile that. You know, so I can't answer that because again, it depends on who the person is. I think it depends if your soul is okay to move on. Okay. Because there is a thing called time where, you start to take the good, the bad, and then you kind of move on. I think it depends on how to the core someone hurts you. You know, she was mad about the money. She wasn't mad about her. She was mad about the money. It's business. Money and personal two different things. I think Mary Wilson would have been okay if Donna Ross had have been cool with getting up that bag. They're in a business, so I don't really account the same thing when there's the bag involved. It's always about the bag. Well, Donna Ross made a lot of enemies. She broke a lot of hearts. She did a lot of suspect stuff. Michael Jackson, her had the discord. So I mean, yeah, she was a cold blooded chick, and yet she's been in low key as a parent, grandparent, but she was cold to folks. She was cold to folks. You know, I think that's one of the reasons why her career kind of stopped at a certain point where she still can tour and people pay to see her. But it really, in terms of like the record sales, the things dried up over 20 years ago. Just was a cold fish, though. Um, Probably of those three, I got to say burgers. Because there's a McDonald's everywhere you go in the world. Pizza's popular, but there's popularity in more places. And chicken, it depends on where you are. But burgers are probably respected wherever you go in the world. Mm. Oh, bench cut? Okay. Start bench cut. I would start. As far as famous go, I would start burgers. I'd bench chicken and I'd cut pizza because again, it depends on where we are. There are places that I think it goes in that order. And beef is always huge, and chicken is usually huge. Pizza, they don't really. They can get a take in, take out. They might make a deal, they might not. Fear of the Black Hat is what you meant. Fear of the Black Hat is what you meant. And I like Fear of the Black Hat. I ain't seen that movie in 30 plus years. I remember when that came out. I went to go. I saw that movie, and Fear of a Black Hat was cool. It was more built in though. It was a little over the. It was a little bit too deep for some people's heads. Um, CB4 is gonna win though. It just didn't make no money, but for Chris Rock, it was a cool film because it definitely played into the types. I like Fear of a Black Hat from a more intellectual perspective though. Depends on which way you catch me. Yeah. So CB4 is more popular. More popular. Okay, let's get some more likes up here. So we got. I think I'm gonna have to cut this in 9 minutes. Though it's not a lot of. Not getting a lot of responses today. It's been kind of on a slow tip. So I'll be on for 9 more minutes though. Most of the jokes that cross the line are racial. I mean, that goes without saying. And if someone says stuff that they know is offensive, that's always going to be the one that gets the most reaction. So I think could be wrong, but that's how I feel. So ooh, okay. Let's get some more story time here. That was very tacky. And no one has called Erie out enough on that mess. He can't really talk about nobody. And Tiffany Haddish, that was embarrassing. But again, that's what I tell you about people being bought and paid for and then sold for. There's a good example. You know. Hmm. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, we got 5 more minutes. I get some conversation. This is what I was talking about. So, but yeah, I've already talked about Aries Spears and Tiffany Haddish, and they got that swept underneath the carpet. That's how you got wonderful Aries bought and paid for by because he's on Vlad TV. He tells all his business everywhere. So, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good deal. Okay, it's gotten quiet again. So 5 more minutes. Last call. So if nobody don't show up, that's it for the day. And the video will be on and available. Okay. So far, let me take a look at this poll. 70% saying yes. The most of the poll's favorite. Um, I don't blame her in the sense that she didn't know no better and she was following what they told her to do. But the industry's always been racist. I've told you all the time, it's nothing but a plantation. And they still do blackface. They had Robert Downey Jr. in that movie about 15 years ago in blackface. They still do it. So they know what they do. They know what they reference are. Fortunately, where she's concerned, she didn't have to use use no lines that would. But it was bad enough. I don't like hearing people talking about, oh, I knew. If you're a child, and that's one thing. But when you get of age and you learn about it, then you say, hey, I denounce it. So unless she denounces it, I'm not giving up no love. Blah. Mhm. Well, I still got about three more minutes. It happens, but I have like, but so let me tell you something, Charlene. I have 100 plus views. It's just that people don't always click on. There's been a handful that have taken the poll question. I'm doing all right. How you doing, Sammy V? And sometimes they come on late. So sometimes, but if you give me a one on one, I'll talk for an hour. If we're having a real conversation. Good to see you. Thank you for coming through. I always tell people to hit the like, hit the poll. But the also thing too, Charlene, is that you follow me on Facebook. So that's another thing. If people want to reach me and they want to go on live, then we can, make it happen. I'm on different platforms. So mm, yeah, thank you. Same to you too. Always glad to have people coming through. Okay. You can see if anybody got anything else they would like to say today because it's just going quiet. Did get a lot of votes and I did get a lot of views, just didn't get a lot of people coming through. Happens though from time to time now. Generation comes along and they're disrespecting the one that came. Yep. Mhm. Right. Okay. But we're in the home stretch, and I think I'll call it a day since no one else came through. So appreciate the ones that did. Might be on tomorrow, definitely on Sunday. So you know, We're gonna conclude it now. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free, stay true. Appreciate everyone that came through. And I'll catch you real soon. Peace.